All around the country, fans are asking one simple question: what is wrong with Alabama's offense? I'm going to tell you what's going on. Stick around. This is the truth about Alabama. 3, 2, let's go. Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever the case may be. I don't know when you're watching this, so that's why I say that. Welcome into Way Offsides, your favorite Alabama sports talk here on YouTube. It's Monday after the SEC championship game. Alabama played offensively what looked like its worst game under Kalen DeBoer, definitely under Ryan Grubb. And it's led to fans asking, what is wrong? What is with this offensive regression that we've seen all season since that middle part of the season where it just looked like Ty Simpson was a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate, first round pick? What happened? Well, we saw similar things happen last year, and I've got a good idea. I think I've got a good idea. I'm going to share that with you. So be sure you're locked in with us. All right. Don't go anywhere. We're going to talk about it. But if you're not subscribed, please do that. Like 70% of you guys watching aren't subscribed. It would help us out. It'd be a Christmas present. You like my tree? I could use a Christmas present. So thank you. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a big roll tide in the comment section below. Let me know where you're watching from. Be loud and proud in the comments. Love to hear from you guys. It's your show. Yeah, we're humble around here. Very simple. But we like to talk Bama football. And if you clicked on this video, you likely like to listen to people talk about Bama football. So here you are. So what's going on with Alabama's offense? We'll start with just looking at some similarities between last year and 2025. Alabama's offense, as of right now, in my opinion, collectively, the full picture looked a little more cohesive in 2024 than it does right now in 2025. There's a couple of reasons for that. I think that Alabama had that extra kick, that extra pizzazz coming off of that week one embarrassment in Tallahassee, and it really lit a fire under their tails. And they went on a run. They went on an absolute tear, right? But towards the end of that tear, and I said this several times in videos, you could feel the energy kind of tapering off. You could feel it about the time that they got to the South Carolina game. You knew that game was going to be insane. You knew it was going to be on the road, a very difficult environment. And you could feel it. You really could feel it tapering off. Well, amidst all of that, the offensive staff is trying to figure out issues with the offensive line. They're flipping in personnel, constantly changing things up in the middle of the game with the personnel groupings. It got really confusing. A lot of us were looking at Wilkin Formby and other people on the right side of the line, kind of sometimes even ignoring the fact that Caden Proctor over there at left tackle, he not having the best year either. Parker Brailsford having probably the best year from the offensive line. But then the line, they start getting dinged up. You look at what happened against Oklahoma. Didn't look lively against Auburn, and then just the wheels fell off in the SEC championship game. Now, Alabama still got an opportunity to go do everything it wants to do, to get some things fixed, to rest up, to get healthy, and get a rematch in the first round against Oklahoma in Norman. I think Alabama, if it plays to its potential, absolutely can beat Oklahoma. They should have the first time around. Do I think they have a legitimate shot at a national title? Probably not. I'm just being honest. I just don't see the caliber of play that was expected. Now, that's part of the problem here, though, in saying that. A lot of people who had access to the program in the summer and in fall camp were really, really high on Alabama. And a lot of us consumed that information and got really excited. And maybe, just maybe, our expectations were a little too high, because what we've seen from Kalen DeBoer in year one and year two is him trying, I use this analogy all the time, trying to fit a round peg into a square hole, or a square peg into a round hole, whichever one it is, right? He takes over for Nick Saban, loses so much of his roster, right? And first year, his quarterback is Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe, not the greatest pass for an intermediate. Obviously, the strength of his game is his legs. Year 2, goes with Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson looks the part most of the season, but as the season's gone on, he has been under constant pressure, and I think he's got so field and the game after the ball is snapped. But ultimately, what we're seeing and what we saw last year and what we saw this year is an offensive system trying to run without the right personnel. It starts on the offensive line. I talked about this when I was on Cover Crimson with Clint Lamb talking about recruiting. Alabama's offensive line is not built to do what Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb want to do, right? The year at Washington, when they made the playoff run, yes, they got absolutely mauled by Georgia in the national championship game. Much like what happened in the SEC championship game. Alabama just has a much better defense. However, they got that whole year, Washington's offensive line was phenomenal. They were undersized, but they were undersized for a reason, because playing in this type of offense, it requires the players to be a little more agile, a little more athletic, a little quicker. And Alabama, again, I say this, I feel like every video, but they're kind of in purgatory in a way, in limbo, if you will, in the sense that they're trying to evolve into what Kalen DeBoer wants this offense to be, but they're trying to do it with remnants of Nick Saban's squad, who were recruited for a much different style offense, right? So it starts there. It absolutely starts there. Now, the highlights of the offense this year have been Jeremy Bernard, Parker Brailsford, Josh Cuevas, right? All guys that transferred from Washington. Now, I think that this coaching staff deserves, a lot of people won't like this because there's a lot of people calling for their heads. I think that they deserve an opportunity to do this with their guys. Nobody else except their guys. Ryan Grubb, his leash is kind of short, man. You know, I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of what's going on where you can tell Ryan Grubb as an offensive play caller is extremely uncomfortable and not confident at all. There's not a lot of cohesion in his play calling. A lot of times it feels like he's just throwing stuff at the wall, seeing if it sticks. There's no method to the madness that we're seeing. He's been really, really good at shooting himself in the foot when things are going well. Look at the Iron Bowl. And kind of keeping other teams in games that Alabama should have blown them out. And there's just no consistency across the board offensively whatsoever, whether it be the run game, whether it be the offensive line, whether it be the quarterback, wide receivers. It just hasn't been polished. In fact, I forgot who posted this earlier, but they said it looked goofy. And that's the perfect word for it, because what Alabama did offensively Saturday that wasn't football. That was it. That wasn't football. That was it was embarrassing, to say the least. Now, even with that problem, though, Kalen DeBoer loses 2 SEC games, gets to the SEC title game, and the college football playoff. Now, whether you think Alabama should be in or isn't a factor right now, they're in. That, I think, should build some confidence in the fan base. Those of you who are on the fence, who don't think Kalen DeBoer is the right guy, if what I'm saying is true, and I do think it is true, because they are completely uncomfortable offensively in Tuscaloosa from the top down. There's no right answer right now, because they They can't complete the puzzle because they don't have all the pieces yet. They've been recruiting their tails off. And they're there. They're coming. They're coming. Absolutely coming. But it's just not quite there yet. They're still a season removed from having the offense, the offensive line, the quarterback, from having it exactly what it's supposed to look like, from whether it be prototype skill sets, to make this offense run. Now, a lot of people want Ryan Grubb out. I get it. I share in your frustration with it, because it does seem like he is just looking at a call sheet and going, oh, I haven't called that play in 5 minutes, or I haven't called that play in a couple of weeks. Let's just do it and see if it works. It doesn't look like he's strategically calling anything based off of what the defense is doing. We're probably entirely wrong about that. But whatever he's doing isn't working, and he keeps doing the same thing, and it's very frustrating. But we also have to understand that he is learning how to be an SEC coordinator. He's got it. He's had a season to do it. Next year should be a big jumping off point for Alabama's offense, in a sense that most of the guys, there are going to be very few leftovers from the Saban era on Alabama's offense. Most of the guys that will take the field for Alabama's offense next year will be Grubb and DeBoer guys, or Sheridan and DeBoer guys. They have no excuses at that point as to why it's not working. If next year Alabama goes out there and has this same second half of the season regression that we've seen in the last 2 years, that's when we take a step back and go, okay, maybe this philosophy isn't going to work in the SEC. And it very well may be the case. I don't think so, because we've seen success from the DeBoer guys that have come through, that came from Washington with him to Alabama. I do think it'll work. I think you have to have Kane Womack's defense for it to work. I think you have to have that level of defensive play. Again, Washington's offense, one of the most prolific offenses in the last 10 years of college football that year. And then what happens when they run into Georgia in the national championship game, right? So you got to be able to get over that ledge. But I just think, and maybe it's wishful thinking, tell me in the comment section below, but I think if Kalen DeBoer understands that in this conference, you have to build from the trenches out. You start there. They have. Last year's offensive line class was really good. This year's was good. They've got the pieces that they need along that offensive line to go ahead and plug and play. They're the bodies that they want. They're the playing styles that they want. They've got the skill sets that they're looking for. All right, they've gone through this evaluation. That's one thing you can say about this staff. They're damn good at evaluations, at least recruiting the player. You've got two big-time running backs that we know are going to be there. They're both going to be young, but in Xavier Crowell and A.K. Deere, assuming Alabama keeps Deere, you're going to have both of those guys with Daniel Hill. You've got the big tight ends that you want. To Clint's point, we'll have to see if they can become a well-rounded tight end where they can block, catch, do all the things you need them to do. And then Alabama's wide receiving room is going to be absolutely nasty again next year. It was supposed to be nasty this year. It had been if they could catch the ball. And that's even if Ryan Williams isn't even at Alabama. I don't think at this point it's going to hurt if he's not, to be honest with you. But so you get the puzzle pieces in place, right? You get the final numbers of the code, the final numbers of the lock, put them in, turn the knob, and see if it unlocks. If it doesn't, then the conversation next season, if you think that the calls for Kalen DeBoer's head are bad right now, wait until that happens next season. There's no way he survives that. Now, I think he'll have, he'll be able to kind of throw Grubb to the altar, you know. but I don't know if he'll do that. So I think with this team right now, the biggest concern is Coach Cap's not cutting it. There's rumors out there that he's not going to be around much longer. They're just rumors. I don't know how true they are. Got a whole video about it. Go check it out on the channel. But I still have faith that once Alabama makes the final step into who it's trying to move into being, right? We're right smack dab in the middle of this transitional process. It's not going to happen in 18 months. It's not going to happen in 24 months. It's going to take a couple of seasons. If I'm right, and I'm willing to bet that I am right now, if I'm right, and Austin Mack is your starting quarterback, you've got these linemen that they've recruited, Michael DeBose, you've got these guys that come in, the more agile offensive linemen. They're quicker on the edges, on the tackles. They come in, and you see a difference. And we'll be watching it. Week 1, we'll be looking at that offensive line to see if they can set a different standard than this year's offensive line has set. And if they can, if it looks like they do, then yeah, absolutely. This will work. If not, then we're out of excuses, man. You're out of mulligans. So again, I'm not saying that Kalen DeBoer needs to be fired. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that Kalen DeBoer will have to take a good hard look at his philosophy and understand that it doesn't work in the SEC. And he's going to have to adopt a different philosophy. He's going to have to go back to what Alabama used to be, or try to get it to that point, instead of trying to form Alabama into what he wants it to be. Now, again, man, if he's got the round pegs and can put those into the round holes, I think this offense will fly. I absolutely do. But right now, he's got a quarterback that's not built for his system. He's got offensive linemen that aren't built for his system. Really don't have an excuse at the wide receiving core. If that gets figured out, it's going to be hard to beat Alabama down the road. Alabama's not going to go anywhere. I mean, they've been the most inconsistent team in the country this year. There's not been a quarterback in the country, I think, who's been pressured more than Ty Simpson, and they're still making the college football playoff. They got their ass kicked, but they still played for the SEC championship. They still went on that run in the middle of the season. You saw glimpses of it. So, the name of the game right now for Alabama's offense is go beat Oklahoma. Try to make a run if you can. Keep recruiting the way this staff is recruiting. You're going to have a decision to make next year at the quarterback position. What you're going to do? Is it going to be Austin Mack? Is it going to be Keelan Russell? What happens if Ty Simpson comes back? But I think with their pieces, and once the evolution is complete, once the transition from Alabama of past to Alabama of future is complete, I think we'll all be pretty happy with the result. At least, I hope. Right? Thanks for sticking around with me. You guys are awesome. Fantastic, folks. Every one of you. We've had a really good year here at Way Offsides, and it's because of each and every one of you. I know that when Alabama loses, if things don't go Alabama's way, folks want to get mad at folks. They want to be mad at us. That's fine. If you need somebody to be mad at, you can be mad at us. But don't unsubscribe just because Alabama loses a game. We have no control over what happens on the field, and neither do you. And that's okay. We're all human beings, right? It's okay. It's going to be fine. Plus, we've got Alabama basketball, which we'll be covering a lot over the next couple of months. So make sure you're locked in with us. Make sure you subscribe. You can also follow us on social media, Way Offsides. That's Way with 4 A's, never 3, never 5. 3's not enough, 5's too many. 4, just like in the word Alabama. If you need help spelling it,
Way, this is all caps, W-A-A-A-A-Y, way.
Thank you, Skip. Your check's in the mail. As always, you guys know the drill. Say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands, horns down, beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too. Roll Tide.